On behalf of our organizers, Human Equation, I would like to thank the panelists and participants for joining us here today. I'm your moderator this afternoon, and my name is Gurit Kaur. I'm a consultant trainer for Human Equation. The fifth series in our online forum is titled The Changing Landscape of Employee Development. So, one of the things on our mind now is how do training companies and freelance trainers like me manage and build our businesses during this lockdown period? And how do organizations manage their training functions? We still have people that need to be developed. I'm sure all of you would agree with that. So today we'll be speaking to players in the L&D industry to find out. We have with us here today a group of panelists, and our first panelist will be Judy Wong, who is the General Manager of the Group HR of Deleum Berhad, which is an oil and gas company, and they specialize particularly in the areas of exploration and production. Judy, want to say hi?
Hello, everyone.
There she is. Okay, our next panelist is Jamuna Karmehan. She's the founder of JAMZ Academy. Jamuna is a corporate trainer and a consultant and an NLP master practitioner.
Hi, everyone. I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat room. Thank you so much for coming.
Great. Our next panelist is Cheryl Lutz. She's the founder of the Learning MatchMaker. And what she does is she helps put together companies with the right training professionals.
Hi, everyone.
There she is. Our next panelist is Suhu from Abundant Impact, and he is a consulting facilitator and a master trainer. So thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Sheila, before we begin, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you, Gurit, for agreeing to moderate this event, and to our four panelists for accepting our invitation. We're very honored to have you on board. For the participants, thank you for making time. We hope that it's going to be a really empowering time for you. When the lockdown started, I, like many of you in the industry, I'm myself a trainer, consultant, coach, I was thinking to myself, gosh, all training has been put on hold. What do I do? If I'm just going to sit at home and do nothing, I'm either going to go mad or get a bit depressed. And I'm never a person who ever very often gets depressed. So I created things to do. And one of the activities was to go online and make webcasts, do interviews, and of course, the series of web forums with the sole purpose of getting professionals, like-minded professionals, to come in to a conversation like this to tell us what are the experiences, what are the thoughts, how are they innovating, how are we going to move forward in this industry. And I think this industry is something that's very dear to my heart. And so I hope that it's going to be a really fruitful time for all of you. Welcome, and let the show begin.
Right, great. Thank you so much, Sheila, for your words. Now, the first question that I would like to pose to all of you would be that the pandemic has put a stop to a lot of our on-site training activities for all organizations. There's no excuse for anyone anymore. So, but what I would like to know is what activities is your organization conducting at the moment to ensure that L&D and employee development continues to move forward? Now, I think this particular question is very relevant for organizations. So I would like to actually pose this to Judy. Would you like to give us your thoughts on how this is going to happen?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Gurit. For our organization, right, we are probably being hit quite badly, not only because of the virus, but also because of the oil crisis. We are in the oil and gas industry. Right. So it's a double, triple whammy kind of things when this thing comes, and we were not prepared. But the good thing is that the company has always been having very good infrastructure, digital platforms. Yeah, but we have never really gone from home kind of things. We talk about it. My boss advocates it, but unfortunately, we never really subscribe to it. So I guess this puts a good thing to it. As to on-site training, which is not possible, we do a lot of video conferencing now. So like it or not, we do a lot of video conferencing. Like it or not, you have to pick up the manuals that's shared by ICT, don't know how many years ago, and start using it, and start talking to people virtually and understanding how to make use of digital stuff in the midst of what we need to do, continue on now. In terms of the other learnings, my focus very much into the leadership team. Yeah, because I'm very concerned. I have a batch of leadership team who are a mixture of people that are digital savvy and also not. So the challenge is that, how does those people who are not digitally savvy gets connected to their people? Yeah, so it's a lot of coaching, a lot of guidance, and of course I leverage on my team. I got a team of managers with me to help our business people in terms of understanding how to use the platform to learn. At this moment, I think it's not very much in terms of soft skills, it's very much in terms of technical skills to keep us communicated, keep us engaged, and keep the business going as it is.
Right, very insightful, Judy. Thank you. So, I mean, it's a matter of, whether you like it or not, you're going to have to jump onto the bandwagon, aren't you? So, I would also like to check with Cheryl, because you work with a lot of organizations, trying to matchmake, so to speak. So, how do you think the organizations that you've been dealing with, how do you think they're going to be able to move forward now?
Yes, so great. That's a very good question. And just to share with you, for the last 3 weeks, since March 18, my company has been investing a lot of time into live streaming classes with lots of clients. And surprisingly, it's a very good fact finding here that all of them right now are ready in terms of embarking on live streaming classes.
Well, that's very good.
Yes, so I saw the research that we did was more of fact gathering in terms of what can work and what can't work. Like what Judy says, it's about the infrastructure. So a lot of clients had to have good infrastructure for live streaming to take place. Infrastructure cannot be done alone. You have to have the support together with the HR and the L&D. And the other part is the content re-engineering. So we did live streamings for an hour to 30 minutes to an hour. So within that time frame, the content needs to be crafted really well, which is where the trainers and the L&D have to work together.
Okay.
In summary, it's a very good research that we did. We did about 35 classes, like mentioned, and we have, yes, the landscape is ready.
Excellent. That's really good. So now, moving forward, I mean, right now we're all forced to do this. We don't have a choice, right? But moving forward, once we're no longer forced to stay at home, no longer made to work from home, how is this experience going to impact the way we conduct employee development? Would you continue with traditional methods, adopt a more digital, blended learning approach? What are your thoughts on this? Maybe I'll go to Jamuna.
Thank you, Gurit, and the panelists and all the attendees. How are you? I hope you are staying at home, safe and sound. All right. Now, with regards to your question on the employees and are we going into blended learning? Yeah, definitely. If I say more on online presence, that's going to sound like a cliche now since everyone is talking about that. But what I would like to add here is that your methodology had changed, definitely, but your values and your culture are still there. These are principles that you should still hold on into. I had an interesting session with a client yesterday, a webinar, and this is a particular client that recruits students to go overseas and study. So now people don't want to go overseas and study. All right. So this client has choices to make whether are they going to move the platform into online learning. So metaphorically speaking is that you may not need the facilities and the infrastructure there, but you're all going to transfer into online. So yes, blended learning is a necessity now. Yeah.
So, what do you think? Moving forward, how are you going to change the way you do things?
Actually, I've been nudging the community to move to a virtual environment, not a knee-jerk reaction like what the community was reacting to when the MCO was first announced. I noticed a huge jump of trainers, and some of them utilizing a lot of their savings to learn from different trainers how to go online, and that's a very knee-jerk reaction. So when I probe further, like, okay, why are you going online? What method are you going to use? What model are you going to use it for? There's a lot of uncertainty. It's like, have to go online, so everybody went in. However, just like Jamuna says, it's going to be a very different environment. Number one, the MCO, whether it is lifted at the end of April, you'll probably see a lot of social distancing habits continue for the next easily 3 to 4 months. Typical classrooms, 20 packs may not be approved. UPSR has been cancelled and some exams have been moved to next year. And all that points to a possibility of a prolonged, even the MCO is lifted, a prolonged social distancing. That being said, live classrooms may not be allowed. So how will the trainers be able to adapt? What I've been championing is for trainers to go into not e-learning yet, but go into virtual learning where trainers still have some skill sets to be able to deliver that well, as well as then recording the virtual classes to be used later as part of the blended offer. So I think this is something that trainers should be looking at.
Right. Okay. So Cheryl was saying earlier that a lot of the research that she has conducted, a lot of companies are actually ready for this. They've actually got the infrastructure in place. They've got the facilities that they need. Organizations are ready. So like Judy was saying, that this is things that they have already been doing. But the question now is, do you think that we training company, people who are out there providing training, like me, like you, like Jamuna, do we have the facilities? Are we ready?
Okay, so I want to address a few things there. Number one, when we say organizations are ready, very often it means the larger organizations have some form of LMS in their system. And most of the LMS is currently used for critical programs like onboarding, things that you can free the trainer away from, but not critical enough to ensure that they are able to learn a skill. Right? So are traditional LMS that is in the market able to teach a skill, which was the reason why HRDF needed to have a 70-30 blend between experiential and content, because we are teaching competencies and skills, which a static content e-learning may not be able to deliver. That's the first thing. The second thing is in the sense of e-learning and virtual classrooms. When the clients have their own internal, like for example, today we are using Microsoft Teams, right? A lot of clients are moving away from Zoom for all the concerns, and you go to Microsoft Teams. Now, some people had a virtual background, some people don't have their virtual background, some people can't log into the system. We have seen online training conducted by online professionals specifically for online trainers, which took almost 2 hours before they could regularize the technology. So, well, for whatever research it is, we have to see the context of whether are they talking about e-learning or are they talking about virtual classrooms?
Right.
Trainers, I think, are ready for virtual classrooms, but I think some upskilling is still needed.
Just to add to what Suhu just said, do you agree that you think that trainers are ready?
Of course, I'm speaking on behalf of the trainers community. We are ever so so yes, thank you. I have a lot of we have a lot of trainers in the chat box here. I'm just scrolling down. Yay, trainers community, good. The thing is that what's happening now is that there's a lot of collaboration among the trainers. So Suhu does sales, he does NLP, and so am I. But doesn't matter. We are still doing referral marketing or affiliate marketing. Let's promote each other. So this is what's going to happen soon.
Great. Okay, so which now takes me to the next question. I think Cheryl, this one would probably be directed to you first. Like, what new strategies are you implementing in order for you to conduct business in the current environment and post-pandemic, post-COVID-19?
So for the Learning Matchmaker, we are all good to go for virtual streaming. So the tools that we are implementing are based on the platforms of either the client or the training provider. Right. So let's just talk about Microsoft Teams. So majority of organizations that I've been doing business with are using Microsoft Teams. And in this platform, there are so many tools that you can play around with. So we had a client that this L&D, just to share with you a case, this L&D 3 weeks back, they did not have any skills in terms of how are they going to use this current platform. Although the platform was there, but they didn't expose themselves yet. Because of the disruption, the L&D Academy decided, let's all work overnight, weekends to test the system. After 3.5 weeks doing business on these live streaming sessions with them, the L&D is very good. They do polling questions, there's Q&As, the content is designed based with the trainer skills in terms of shooting probably perspective pictures where you can trigger questions to the audience and the audience will answer based on a chat box.
Right.
So you can actually be very innovative. It's just a matter of whether you want to do it or not and whether you can invest the time.
All right. So, which now takes me, I would like to come over to Judy now. So, Judy, we've heard from the point of view of the trainers in terms of how they are able to now support organizations in order to provide your training, provide your teams with the development that they need. And you were saying earlier on that pretty much you already have the infrastructure in place, right? Is there anything else that you would require?
Yes, definitely. By saying that we have the infrastructure, basically just means that we have the platform. Yeah, platform in terms of the digital, like Microsoft Teams, we are able to see each other, we're able to speak each other, we can conduct virtual classroom and all that. But for organization like ours, we do not have internal trainers.
Right.
Yeah, so we leverage very much on the external experience and skilled people because I personally believe that no one knows everything. So I would rather leverage on external partners in terms of certain skill sets that is needed for certain group of people. But immediately right now, because cost is still very much a concern, a big concern for us. In fact, that by ND have actually said that we put on hold all external learning initiatives. So then that gives me a different challenge as to how do I keep people learning.
Correct.
I have to promote a lot of self-learning. Actually, learning is a lifelong thing, and everybody can learn from anywhere, everywhere. Books, online. It's friends, network, talking itself. So I have to put in a lot more efforts into promoting self-learning, as well as leverage on internal experts. Yeah. So we are talking to people to find out internal experts. Some people who are really good in leadership, actually. Some people are pretty good in communications. So we're trying to probably build in short videos. They can either choose to do online, to have an online session, a quick 15 to 30 minutes short sessions with a group of audience like this now. Or they can choose to pre-record a video and then a tutorials online, 15 minutes video clips, and just post it up to us. So these are some things that I'm contemplating, in terms of leveraging internal expertise. But that being said, it is probably going to stretch us not too long. Because like I mentioned, not everybody has every skill sets that we need. And even some people who are good with certain skill sets and competencies, they may not be good in terms of sharing, teaching, guiding, the kind of things. So we will still, it's probably a short-term kind of things that we will leverage on whatever we can at this moment while we are managing costs. But long-term wise, we would definitely look into a blended learning approach, whereby a combination, because we know that when you invest in a digital platform for learning, it is something that goes on for a long time. It's not that, just invest one time, finish, full stop, that's it kind of things. So there's certain things that they can be continuously learn, like just I mentioned, the orientations and things like that. And there are some programs that can be repeated, like managers development series, that every new batch of managers need to go through the same series kind of thing. So it can be combined together with the different types of learning that we may consider in the near future.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sheila's back, and I just want to get her thoughts on this as well. Yeah, Sheila, you're there?
Yes, I am here. Sorry, I was off for a while. Yeah.
Problem. I just wanted to check with you now. We're talking about new strategies, right? In the current environment and post this current environment. What are you doing? What kind of strategies are you implementing in order to conduct business now?
We're talking about post-COVID, right?
Yeah.
Well, Right now, I'm sort of setting the stage. Of course, all these online conversations and dialogues and engagements are certainly important to keep your voice alive out there amidst clients. I'm accepting requests to do 30-minute, 45-minute webinars and so on. I'm hosting some, I'm doing some with the IT industry, the entire industry next week on Monday on innovation. So the current topics seem to be about how to work from home, how to manage teams, distant. And of course, the big thing that I'm working on right now would be about innovation, telling the story and so on. Now, clearly, we're not when people have got used to working online and they found that they can. Very often in the past, companies never contemplated the online way of learning, and they went like, no, our people won't go online. They won't, sit in on the course lah. They won't do the requisite learning. No, must put them in a classroom, lock the doors, do the training. Yeah, that's been effective, and of course, there's for all trainers who have stood before an audience, that you're in your element then that's your passion and you're really connecting directly with people, but we can't do that anymore. We don't know how long this pandemic is going to last, whether it's going to come back. We always have to be prepared. So I am actually saying that trainers got to be prepared for two ways of doing training. One is you actually do the live streaming. So you're there with your equipment, you're standing there in your premises doing the training, and with all your paraphernalia, so people can actually interact, just as what we are doing now. The other way I'm looking at it is to come up with your training module. So you got to video record it, you got to have your assignments. And in this sense, the trainings that you do now, it's no longer about delivering content anymore. Because last time you could deliver the content and then get them to apply it in the classroom. Now you can't. Right? You can't have that the energy of engagement between people. So what you need to do now is to have assignments. I myself have been a student of online learning, overseas online learning, and learning to get onto meetings with people, how to collaborate sort of distantly, all right, remotely with people and get things done. So it's a possibility. So you come up with your videos, you come up with your assignments, and you can market that to your clients and say, look, here's a package. All right. But then the thing is, there are clients who want two types of things. There are clients who will say, look, what have you got ready made for us that you can give us, that we can give our people, that's relevant to their learning now? So it's a good time now, while you're locked down, to start making those videos. All right. To be prepared, to be designing new ways of delivering your programs. The second thing is, there are clients who say, no, I don't want off the shelf. I've got this particular topic, the customized program. So for me, I'm very much a trainer who believes in the customized approach. If people say, what program have you got that we can use? I always say, I need to meet with you and find out your needs so that whatever I have, I can customize to you. It's all very needs-based training. So for that kind of training, you might need to do the live stream. Or you could even do a combination of both. You give them the modules that are related, and then at the final analysis, you have that online session where you let them ask the questions, you do the exercises, you take the questions, and so on.
Right. Yeah? Okay, that's great. Thank you, Sheila, for your input. Now, I have a question actually, which I would like to pose to. I'll pose it to Jamuna and to Suhu. Actually, this particular question. Now, you know how, as trainers, we know that participants come into our classrooms with different learning styles. You've got people like me who are very much the activists. In order for me to learn, I need to be thrown into an activity. I need to do. I'm very kinesthetic. I need to feel. I need to touch. I need to experience, right? And then you've got some people who are so reflective. You can give them something and then they think about it and then yeah, I buy that, So how do we cater to these different learning styles? How do we manage people who, like me, for example, who's just not going to be happy with sitting in front of a computer and learning something I want to do?
As a master NLP practitioner, and thanks to Sheila for exposing me to the NLP tools. In NLP, we talk about the preferred representational system, the preferred communication, and the learning mode. So great, you said about the visual learners, the auditory learners, the kinesthetic learners, and the auditory digital learners. Even though online, as my first point today, the culture, the value is still the same. For me, I I would still do the training needs analysis in the beginning, send them a little bit of questionnaire just to find out, just gauge which they have. Maybe some of you someone, I think there's a voice in the background. All right. So I send them a little questionnaire. If I'm going to have a room full of 20 or 50 or 100 people, just to understand most of them are in which quadrant, so I could cater to that. But guys, I'm not there yet. I'm still learning, so I'm not so expert yet in that. I need more. I'm also equipping myself, learning to how to handle the situation. Great. So Suhu, maybe you would have a better answer, Suhu, about this.
So for different modalities, I think it's a matter of adapting. We can still make it very kinesthetic. So I'm not too sure about Microsoft Team, but can everybody just put up your right hand right now? Just very quickly, put up your right hand right now. Okay, see, and the only person I get to see is Jamuna, and she's not putting up her right hand, you see. So that's one of the challenges in Microsoft Team that I identified, because when we do it on Zoom, we can still get the kinesthetic learners to do. It's just that it's a different thing that we are getting them to do in the sense that the traditional activity of moving around type games will have to be taking a back seat. Now, that being said, one of my mentors, Clinton Swain, is converted an entire live classroom game into a virtual platform. So we have tested it to as many as 400 people worldwide playing it at the same time. It seems to get the kind of results that we expect from a actual classroom as well. The only challenge is because of technology, the companies may have the best infrastructure in place already, but the particular participant may not have the infrastructure in their place. So that is one of the main challenge I see in getting everybody to do activities at the same time.
Right.
So you get people dropping in and out of the calls. They're not able to log on and record their actions and all that. I've also seen trainers from Singapore who do a whole 9 to 9 classroom training with all their standing up, hand gestures and everything. So the other method they do is, okay, very quickly, everybody, all participants, can you quickly type yes, quickly type yes on the response right now. Come on, quickly, type yes, 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 yes. So you can still get them to do things. It's just a different way of approaching it.
Right. Okay, that's very insightful. Thank you for that. Must remember. Okay, now I'd like to just wrap it up now with one final question. Okay, now what I would like to know is, how do all of you see the L&D landscape changing as a result of what we're going through right now? I think I'd like to start with Cheryl first of all.
Well, I look at it at two important factors. The first one is the people behind the wheel, which is the L&D folks in organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Their job scopes are definitely going to change.
Yes.
The way how they have been doing things in the past is going to disrupt, and and it's going to be very different. So from the boss right up to the coordinators, this job descriptions need to be looked at. That is the people first. And the second big factor is the content. How could an organization look at the right content based on the learning channels that they're going to invest in? So there are many learning channels, like Sue said, Jamuna, Judy, so there are even recorded webinars that company can invest in. Example, the TED Talk series. You can have a platform and you can, select certain TED Talks and just position it for target audience.
Great. Okay, thank you for that, Cheryl. Jamuna, what do you think?
Let me start at home here, all right? Because a lot of us are working from home now. Now, can I just give a scenario? So what happened earlier was that my girl, she just crawled on the floor so that she doesn't appear on the screen, and she crawled all underneath, and she went to the opposite of me to take my phone so that she can use it, So just say that I'm doing an important session with a big client, and they've paid me a good amount of money to run the session, and suddenly this is not a little girl, she's a big girl, and she disrupts me. So how would people perceive me? That I'm not professional, I'm not being very corporate in my dealing, or the mindset or the receptivity of the audience going to realize that, hey, I'm a person, I'm working from home, I'm decently dressed, I'm not in my sarong, all right, but yet I may have this disturbance which I could control, but sometimes I couldn't. So it's a receptivity, the understanding, the human factor will be more, I guess. Yeah.
Right, right. Okay. Suhu, what do you think?
Suhu, your
I,
children don't disturb you? Oops.
I think Jamuna got it spot on. Going forward, I see a big shift in terms of, like I mentioned earlier as well, 21 days is enough for you to build new habits. And we're looking at possibly MCO extending all the way to end of after Raya, and if you look at it from that perspective, expectations are going to change. So whether or not participants are going to be very picky on how professional we seem to be, I think it's quite accepted that we are all working from home, and as long as the content is delivered. In fact, I feel that the vulnerability, the fact that we are each in our personal space in our house, allows a stronger rapport and acceptance to be built. I think that will be one of the shift. Another shift I foresee will be participants connecting with trainers who are real. So often you find a lot of trainers put on a facade, put on a mask. I never knew people can drink all so much water in one gulp. So trainers have certain persona that we carry when we're on stage. I think all of that will be stripped away in exchange for how real the person is, how
Authenticity.
human it is. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Suhu. Judy, would you like to add to that? How do you see the L&D landscape changing?
Yes, definitely, because all of you, I think, are in the learning industry, yeah, whereby I'm in the opposite side of the fence, yeah.
Yes.
From a HR perspective, right, I think the changes is very much to what we would be looking at, a variety, yeah, a variety of methodologies of learning. As because we know the true virtually, like, because we can't see you, touch you, kind of things, right? It's very difficult to control one's presence. Yeah, already in a classroom full of 20 people, right? You see people that in and out of the classroom itself. So what's more now is virtually, in my own room, there may be children here walking in, things like that, the kind of interaction. So moving forward, right, even though if it's post-COVID and we will still be having social distance, right, I will probably be looking at program which is a lot more shorter program, focused, and as well as giving me a lot of variation. Ooh, hi, children. Yeah, as I was saying, a variety of platform or methodology of learning. So a blended a combinations of different platform plus the variety of learning. Like some shared, just like a TikTok, you have got polling, you have got survey, something needs to you to do some prep work beforehand, the kind of things I think would probably get people to be more engaged and more involved in it, rather than sitting in just half thing. And because adults learning's tolerance time frame is actually very short. Sometimes 2 full days learning sessions. Also, you can have people that may not sit throughout 2 days even. Yeah, and so to the challenge of me having to look for programs that give the different varieties to keep the audience interested and wanting to learn more, I suppose, is the variations and the options of different platforms.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Judy. Now, really great input from all of you, right? So what I'd like to do now is to actually open it up to our audiences. We've had some interesting comments coming in our chat, but if you could like to put in any questions, I'm opening it up now to our participants. If you would like to speak, let us know. You can unmute yourself and start asking questions to the panelists.
I actually have something that probably would be of interest to all the trainers sitting in on this. And this is directed to Judy and to Cheryl. Now, I know, Cheryl, you've got a very stringent selection process in terms of the trainers that you have on your panel to match with your clients. And Judy, having worked with you, I know also that you are very stringent in your selection of trainers. Now, but that was with traditional methods of training. Many of you would want a trainer to come on board, maybe give a little talk based on a meeting with you, a face-to-face meeting to decide and so on. But today the landscape is going to be changing. If we're going to be doing blended learning, digital learning, and so on, do you see that your criteria for selecting trainers is going to be changing? Is going to be different? And if so, what are the criteria that you are going to be using to select trainers now for digital or blended programs? Maybe I'll address this to Judy first and then to Cheryl.
In terms of, we have got a very stringent process of selection, because I wanted to make sure that whatever we're investing is really give me the value. The worst thing I wanted was the manager come up from the training and tell me what kind of rubbish training have you just got us into. Yeah. So in terms of the criteria change, the contents, the objectivity may not change, because at the end of the day, learning objectivity is what I want the people to learn, right? What we want the people to learn. So objectivity, no. But in terms of methods of selections, I would say yes and no. Whether I meet people face to face, or whether people send me a proposal virtually or presenting to me virtually, there's only one thing that I'm looking at. And not really one thing, two things. One is that the contents is the objectivity of the learning program, and the other two, that the methodology of training is interesting enough for me. As you know, I'm picky myself. I'm stringent enough. So I have various levels of screening. My first layer, my manager, Winnie, she actually helps me to screen through a lot of trainings vendors. So she is very well trained in terms of how picky I am. So she would look through in terms of things how I need, and to make sure, and she has been with the organizations for many years as well, to know the people. By knowing the people, it really helps, because we know what type of people they are, how would keep them interested, what would keep them liking it, what would take them off, what is not. So there are two things. One is the contents and objectivity. The other one is how would trainers, training vendors, whenever they propose me, be it in meeting or virtually, show me that it's interesting.
Thank you, Judy. And Cheryl, what would be the criteria you would use to select the trainers to be on your panel and to match them with your clients?
Well, Sheila, the benchmark that we have is based on the research that we saw during our live streaming. Not all trainers are, you could be good in a face-to-face setting, but it doesn't mean that you can also be good on the other line, where there's internet connections, your children running around, probably your content is not right. So these are some of the things that the Learning MatchMaker looks into. And also the other part is how savvy is the trainer on the platform that you have. Mm-hmm. So if the trainer or the training company have a very good simulation platform and it has worked marvelously with organizations, well, spot on. Many organizations would like to have that. So it's very different. The landscape between how we were doing things in the past, face to face, being a trainer, and what we're doing right now in front of a screen, it's totally different. So the organization and the trainer needs to have that skills.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cheryl. Thanks, Judy. Now, any more questions? We're monitoring the chat box, and we don't have anybody writing any questions, but anybody wants to speak up?
Can I ask a question?
You certainly may, sir. And you are?
I'm To here.
Joe?
To.
Okay, hi. Yes, we see you now. Your question, please.
Okay. When we talk about virtual learning, are we talking about the participants being in different locations, or the participants in the same location with a trainer in a different location? You get my message, my question? I mean, if the company or if the client can get all the participants to be in one location, why do you need a trainer in a different location and do virtual training? You might as well bring him in, because they're all together, unless you're talking about the participants being in different locations where it is not easy to gather everyone into one location. Then maybe virtual learning is one of the options. So maybe for those who have have some experience in doing virtual learning, may want to share their ideas on this. Back to you.
Would you like to add to that? Would you like to answer that question?
I think mainly if you're looking at the situation right now, the trainer and the participants cannot be in the same location. That's the first thing. Second thing is, even after Malaysia MCO is lifted, you're talking about a lot of international travel being restricted. So your international clients cannot be traveling as well. So I think, and I foresee trainers having to really change the way we deliver in those environments. One of the observation I made to some of my team members early on is, I think the days of the chalk and talk trainers, the lecture, case study, group discussion trainers, I think this is the rise of those trainers again.
Moving forward, when the time comes that we are all allowed to be in the same room together, if companies are used to this digital platforms of communication, blended learning, or having a trainer remotely training and people in different areas, it could also be a cost saving thing, because right now if you want to bring everyone from your different offices, flying them in from East Malaysia and Penang and Johor and all that, it's a cost, accommodation, travel cost, right? So this way, if you were to do this, you could actually save on costs, save on the sort of the presentation, the cost of setting up this training. So all you're paying is your trainer's costs. And another thing also is, if you are international, if you're multinational, you've got international offices, having this sort of training is a very good way of aligning people in terms of the direction of your project or your organization. So yes, it's always, I'm a trainer who prefers to be in a room with people and to be doing all sorts of things. And when Suhu said earlier, being really real, you are your most real when you are face to face in the same room as people, right? So most authentic. But now we as trainers have to find a way to be really authentic as well, even if we are doing webcast learning, or if we are doing live streaming, we just have to be ourselves. People can actually see through in terms of your authenticity and your capabilities. Now, having said that, earlier, Gurit, you did ask what's human equation doing in adapting to the situation. We're actually in the process of talking to digital solutions engineers, IT engineers, and doing a partnership to set up a platform for digital programs. So it's not just going to be human equation program. We moving forward, maybe initially we might have some of our internal trainers setting up and putting these programs online. But moving forward, we are looking at curating programs from various trainers that you can actually put. I mean, we will have very stringent criteria for this, but then we will look at the profit sharing and payment systems. Long term, I see this as the way to go. And I think this is where collaborations and partnerships have to be in place. Many trainers are very territorial about their programs and their customers and that sort of thing. I think the time to come is to find out what is your area of specialization, specialize in that one, and because digitally speaking, you can't do everything for everyone, because if you're going to sit down and create programs like this and put it out there, it's going to take you forever. So work with people, work with trusted partners. We have to operate with integrity. If we cannot build trust at this time and in the future with our partners and our clients, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, it's true. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so we do have one more question. It's from Christine Chandran. Christine wants to know, what are the 3 must-have skills a trainer should learn to adapt to the change moving forward?
Believe in abundance. Okay, Suhu, that's your company. I'm promoting your company. So, okay, we promote one another's, each other's company. Believe in abundance. There's enough rice or noodles for everyone to eat. And plus, even before this MCO, we have a strong training community here in Malaysia, and we've been strongly just referring people, and Suhu is nodding his head without expecting anything. So the 3 skills is no need. Just one skill is that believe in the law of abundance and do what you do best.
Great. Thank you, Jamuna. One last question, okay? How should a trainer strategize their business immediately upon the release of MCO? This is from Fauzia Bibi.
Fauzia, I think we don't wait until the release of MCO. I think we need to start now. You need to start now in looking at the direction. Now, in innovation and strategic thinking, we ask ourselves, what are the weak signals? Weak signals are the signals out there in the market which are telling you things are going to change. We are now going into a digital modes of doing things. There will be new skills that trainers will need. When Christine asked the question earlier, yes, there's abundance, but importantly, you need to really get well versed with all the digital platforms. Some clients will want to use Zoom, some will want to use Microsoft Teams and whatever. So you need to get well versed in all these digital platforms. You need to learn to design and create and deliver those programs digitally, blended programs, however it be. You need to also be telling the story. How are you going to differentiate yourself from all those trainers out there? What is the story that you are telling? If you go and tell a client, oh, I can do everything, they're going to look at you and say, really? So pick today, pick three main topics. You cannot digitalize all your programs now. Whether, in the next 6 months or 1 year, so it won't take me, it won't be enough time for me. So pick on the three topics. And I suggest you also, as I say, work with partners. So maybe it's Suhu's program is program ABC, Ramuna's is CDE, I might be FGH, and so look at that and then start working. If I get a request to do the program that's outside of my capability, don't just say cannot lah. Partner with someone and do take your referral fee or whatever. Start working. So we need to start learning to work together, and we need to upskill ourselves. Many of us are used to traditional ways, classroom training, or how am I going to learn? If you don't learn, you're going to be left behind. So start now. That's why we're having this conversation today. Go back today, get excited, people. The last thing we want is for this web forum to demoralize you and say, "Ayo, how am I going to do this?" We want you to go today, go back, think of one program you can digitalize that you can start marketing to your clients, your special program, the one that when you go, people say, wow, that was amazing. Take that and start that, because if you don't start doing something and you're waiting for MCO to be over before you start, people are just going to jump on that bandwagon before you do.
Great. I think that's a great sum
Thank
up,
you.
but I do have one question now, which Judy has just posted. And I think, Suhu, you would be a great person to answer this. In the environment of cost consciousness, how can training partners give value to clients in the most cost-savvy way?
I think it's not just giving cost type of value. For example, with my team, before they even start the program, we actually do a lot of pre-program prep. It's no longer a training skill that's required. It's a lot of consulting eyesight, I would say, that's required. Like recently, I have a request for how do you close sales in the online environment. And I requested for all their Instagram of all the participants, Instagram account, their LinkedIn account, their Facebook account. I need to study my participant in order for me to know where are the gaps that they need to build on. I need to study my client itself, like, their company website, their company Facebook, their company LinkedIn, to find where are the areas that they can improve on. So what a lot of training partners don't see is that, yeah, it used to be a 7-hour class, 8-hour class. Now you're doing 2 hours. How come you're charging the same or more? But a lot of pre-work needs to be done, because when we're doing virtual classroom, it's not so much experiential. You go run around and play. It's like straight into fixing, suggestions, strategies, more implementation based. So that's the kind of value we're talking about. And then post-program, what kind of value you're still giving to your participants? What kind of post-program follow-up? Are you hand-holding them still? Are you making sure they're able to deploy the techniques, the competencies that you have trained them in? And just to add on one thing from Sheila, I would say trainers don't even look at your top 3 programs anymore. What is that one program you will be known for? And not just program. What is the one niche you want to be known for? Which target client are you going to be known for? And being able to scale down to that level will allow you to stand out very differently from everyone else in the virtual world.
Okay, that's great. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've had a very fruitful discussion. This has been an amazing session, and I know we have taken it over what we said we would, but we've got a lot of good questions. We've got a lot of good insights from both sides, from the organization and from the trainer's perspective. So on behalf of Sheila and on behalf of Human Equation, I want to say a really, really big thank you to our panelists, Judy, Jamuna, Suhu, Cheryl. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your thoughts. And also to all you fantastic participants, thank you very, very much. We would love to see you again, and stay safe, stay home, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.